I wake to silence. No text message pings, no voicemails, no impatient knocking at my front door. Just the winter sunlight streaming through half-closed blinds and the red numbers on my bedside clock, 8:14 a.m. Something is wrong. I reach for my phone, the screen cold against my fingertips. No notifications. I blink, refreshing the screen. Nothing. The house holds its breath around me as I swing my legs over the edge of the bed. The hardwood floor chills my bare feet, and I move through my Denver townhouse like a ghost, listening for something that isn't there. In the kitchen, I turn on the coffee maker, its gentle gurgle, the only sound beyond my own breathing. My phone sits silent on the counter as I open my calendar app. There it is, bold and unmistakable. Family Christmas trip, Breckenridge Cabin, 6:30 a.m. departure. My stomach drops. I was supposed to be picked up nearly 2 hours ago. Did they forget? Did plans change? I dial my mother's number, fingers trembling slightly. She answers on the fourth ring. Brielle, honey, is everything okay? Her voice carries the distinctive Morgan family lilt, warm and honeyed on the surface. Mom, what happened this morning? Nobody picked me up. A pause. Too long. Wait, you're not with Brooke's car? We thought you left already. What? The word escapes me, sharp and sudden. Mom, we agreed you'd swing by at 6:30. I've been ready since. Oh dear, she interrupts, her voice rising slightly. There must have been a misunderstanding. Brooke said she'd text you about driving yourself since you're coming from the opposite direction. Didn't she reach out? The lie settles between us, transparent as glass. My sister Brooke lives 3 blocks from me. No, Mom, she didn't. Well, we're almost to the cabin now. Maybe you can still drive up? The roads aren't too bad. Her voice brightens artificially. We'd hate for you to miss Christmas, sweetie. The coffee maker beeps. I pour myself a cup, watching the steam rise. I'll figure something out, I say finally. That's my girl. The relief in her voice is palpable. Call when you're on your way. I hang up and stare out the kitchen window. Snow falls in lazy spirals, dusting the world white while something cold and heavy settles in my chest. 2 hours later, I'm still at my dining table, scrolling through emails, when my phone vibrates. A text from Brooke, but not to Meadow, our family group chat that I was apparently removed from. She must have hit the wrong thread. She's really not here, OMG, our plan worked. The coffee mug slips from my hand, shattering against the floor. Brown liquid splashes across the white tile, seeping into the grout like blood. I stare at the text as 17 years of being the family fixer crystallizes into one brutal truth. I was never forgotten. I was uninvited. 3 weeks earlier? Of course I can help with the reservation, I say into my office phone, voice low enough that my coworkers can't hear. Outside my window, Denver's skyline stands sharp against a crisp blue November sky. Let me pull up the listing again. The luxury cabin appears on my computer screen. 7 bedrooms, hot tub, panoramic mountain views, private chef available for additional fee. The Morgan family Christmas extravaganza, expected to accommodate 17 people from 3 generations. So that's 14 nights at just over $1,000 per night. I continue, credit card already in hand. The Westbrook financial risk analyst in me calculates rapidly. Roughly 2 weeks of my post-tax salary. Of course I'll put it on my card. Everyone will Venmo me after, right? I laugh lightly, ignoring the fact that last year's reimbursements arrived months late, and some never came at all. Wonderful, Miss Morgan. Your confirmation number is BRK 14792. The reservation agent's voice is professionally cheerful. Will there be anything else today? No, that's perfect. Thank you. I hang up, watching the confirmation email arrive in my inbox as my phone pings with the credit card alert. $14,200 charged to my Visa. Something nags at me. The family vacation planning always involves endless group texts and conference calls about sleeping arrangements and meal plans. But this year, nothing. Just Mom's request that I handle the reservation. Since you're so good with these things, dear. I glance at my silent phone, then dismiss the thought. They're probably just busy. I'll organize a planning call next week. Now, as coffee spreads across my kitchen floor, I move through my townhouse with new eyes. Evidence of my family's dependence on me is everywhere. The Amazon account on my laptop shows purchases I never made. Benjamin's gaming headphones, Dad's specialty coffee, Brooke's endless beauty products. The Netflix profile page displays names I didn't create. Mom's shows, Ben's list, Brooke plus kids. In my office later that day, I open the filing cabinet where I keep financial records. Credit card statements reveal a pattern. Restaurant charges when I treated everyone to dinner, plane tickets for emergency visits, loans that were never repaid. My calendar is a mosaic of family obligations. Help mom with doctor appointment. Pick up Brooke's kids from school. Fix dad's computer. Host Thanksgiving. I slide into my dining chair, surrounded by the evidence of years of being used. My hands tremble as I open my laptop and navigate to Airbnb. The Breckenridge reservation appears on my screen, mocking me with its mountain views and promises of holiday cheer. The cursor hovers over cancel reservation as tears stream down my face. Years of training as a risk analyst have taught me to evaluate costs and benefits, to identify patterns, to protect against exploitation. I never applied those skills to my own life. With a single, deliberate click, I erase their holiday plans. The confirmation screen appears. Your reservation has been canceled. My phone lights up instantly. The first call of what will become 96 missed calls. I turn off my phone, walk calmly to the kitchen, and pour myself a fresh cup of coffee. For the first time in 17 years, the Morgan family will have to solve their own problems. And I will finally solve mine. A day later, my phone vibrates against the kitchen counter, skittering across the granite like a wounded animal. I watch it, detached, as coffee dries in brown puddles around my bare feet. Brielle, please call us back. Mom's first voicemail comes at 9:42 a.m., confusion threading through her honey-smooth voice. There must be some misunderstanding about the reservation. By 10:15, the tone changes. What do you think you're doing? Her voice sharpens, the Morgan family lilt hardening into something brittle. Your father is absolutely livid. Call me immediately. At 11:30. Sweetie, please. We can work this out. Whatever upset you, we can fix it. The familiar manipulation settles in, soft and insidious as winter fog. I pour another cup of coffee, leaving my phone untouched on the counter. The notifications pile up like snowdrifts against a door. Brooke's texts arrive in strategic waves. First denial. This is clearly a mistake with Airbnb's system. Then blame. If you had joined our planning calls instead of always working, this wouldn't have happened. Finally, the calculated appeal to guilt. The kids are crying. Thanks for ruining Christmas. I open my laptop and navigate to the family's group chat, the one they created after removing me. Logan, Brooke's boyfriend of 2 years, had quietly added me back last night with a simple message. You should see this. The screenshots tell a story 3 weeks in the making. Mom, has anyone heard from Brielle about the cabin? Brooke, she booked it. Card confirmation came through. Ben, did anyone actually invite her? Dad, she's paying for it. That's invitation enough. Brooke, she's always working anyway. Probably won't even notice if we forget to pick her up. Their words burn through me, igniting something that's been smoldering for years. I stand in my living room, spine straightening, as if pulled by an invisible string. The broken pieces of the old Brielle, one who apologized for having needs, who smiled while being erased, shift and realign into something stronger. I move through my townhouse with purpose now, gathering evidence with the same methodical precision I bring to risk analysis at work. Bank statements spread across my dining table. Venmo requests never fulfilled. Credit card statements highlighting thousands in charges for family emergencies that somehow included spa treatments and concert tickets. In my home office, I discover a voice memo from last Thanksgiving, accidentally saved when Mom called while I was working. Voices swim through the tiny speaker. Always so busy making sure everything's perfect, Mom says, her voice warm with wine. That's our Brielle, Dad answers with a chuckle. Never says no, does she? Thank God for that, Brooke adds. Who else would pay for all this? Their laughter cuts through me, sharper than any blade. I scan my bookshelf, finding the last 3 family photo albums. In 27 group photos, I appear in only 4, always partially obscured, always on the edge. Present enough to write the check, absent enough to be forgotten. The final blow comes from Facebook, where Brooke has been telling mutual friends I was too busy with work to attend family gatherings I was never invited to. Photos of birthday celebrations, weekend barbecues, and impromptu gatherings all scheduled when I had explicitly mentioned being available. I stand before my living room window, watching snow blanket Denver in pristine white. My reflection stares back. A woman I barely recognize, someone who has spent 17 years building a fortress of obligation while calling it love. With steady hands, I open my laptop and create a new document. Family Financial Records, 2008, 2025. I type, then begin a methodical accounting of every loan, every gift, every temporary charge to my credit cards. The total makes my stomach clench. $157,842. I move through my digital life with surgical precision, changing passwords on Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, and every other account they've colonized. Each change feels like shedding a layer of invisible weight. My phone buzzes again. Aunt Lainey, Mom's younger sister, the family's self-proclaimed black sheep. "I saw what they did," she says without preamble, her voice warm and solid as a hearth in winter. "I've watched them take advantage of you for years, Brielle." My throat tightens. "You knew?" "Honey, they did the same to me before I put my foot down. That's why your mother barely speaks to me." She pauses. "I'm not saying it's easy, standing up to them. But I'll stand with you when you do." As we talk, a text from Logan appears. They're scrambling to find a new place. Nothing available. "Your dad keeps saying you'll come to your senses. You deserve to know what they've been saying." After hanging up with Lainey, I open my laptop again. The Breckenridge Inn website loads, a small, charming alternative to the luxury cabin my family expected. I book a single room for the 24th of December through 26th, paying with my own credit card, mine alone. In my bathroom mirror, I rehearse what I'll say to them. I am not my bank account. My voice is steady, my eyes clear. I am not your unpaid assistant or your ATM. I am your daughter, your sister, and you forgot that. The words echo against tile walls, gaining strength with each repetition. In my bedroom, I pack a small overnight bag, clothes I bought myself, books that matter to me, the silver earrings Aunt Lainey gave me for my 30th birthday. Nothing borrowed, nothing shared, nothing that belongs to anyone but me. I check the weather forecast for Christmas Eve. Clear roads to Breckenridge. I'll arrive at 7 p.m., exactly when family tradition demands everyone gather for the Christmas Eve dinner. Only this year, I'm not coming to serve. I'm coming to be heard. Next day, the mountain road unfurls before me like a ribbon of asphalt against pristine white. My hands grip the steering wheel as snow drifts lazily across my windshield. Classic Christmas carols float from the radio, Bing Crosby crooning about white Christmas while I navigate hairpin turns through the Colorado Rockies. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. I jab the power button, silencing Bing mid-dream. The quiet that follows feels like a balm. No cheerful family sing-alongs. No Brooke complaining about my driving speed. No mother asking if I remembered to bring the gifts I purchased for everyone. Just silence. My choice. My phone sits dark on the passenger seat. Turned off since yesterday, the screen no longer lighting up with frantic messages from family members who suddenly remember my importance when their luxury accommodation vanishes. I pass the "Welcome to Breckenridge" sign, the familiar wooden landmark dusted with fresh powder. How many times have I driven this route? Always with a car full of chattering relatives, always with my trunk packed with extra supplies no one else thought to bring. The memory of last year's trip surfaces. Dad forgetting his blood pressure medication. Mom realizing she'd left all her toiletries at home. Brooke's kids needing entertainment I'd thoughtfully packed. "What would we do without you, Bri?" They'd laughed. Now they know. The Blue Spruce Inn appears around the bend, a modest 2-story building with snow-covered eaves and warm yellow light spilling from its windows. Nothing like the luxury cabin with its panoramic views and private chef. This place is smaller, warmer, paid for with cash that belongs only to me. The innkeeper, a woman with silver hair and laugh lines around her eyes, welcomes me with genuine warmth. "Checking in alone for Christmas?" she asks, her voice free of pity. "Yes," I answer, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. "Just me." "Well, we're glad to have you." She hands me an actual metal key attached to a wooden keychain. "Room 7, best view of the mountains." My room is simple but comfortable, a queen bed with a patchwork quilt, pine furniture that's seen decades of visitors, and windows that frame snow-covered peaks. I place my single suitcase on the luggage rack and stand before the antique dresser mirror. The woman staring back looks familiar but different. Same blonde bob, same blue eyes, same small scar above my right eyebrow. But something has shifted in my expression. The perpetual readiness to please has hardened into something more solid. I touch the mirror surface, tracing my reflection. Am I overreacting? The doubt slithers in, familiar and insidious. 17 years of being the family fixer has conditioned me to question my right to stand up for myself. What if this ruins everything? What if, after tomorrow, I have no family left? My throat tightens. For all their flaws, they're the only family I have. The Morgans imperfect, demanding, but mine. Childhood memories flash before me. Dad teaching me to ride a bike, Mom braiding my hair before school, Brooke and I sharing secrets under blanket forts. I sink onto the edge of the bed, hands trembling slightly. The weight of potential permanent estrangement presses against my chest. A memory surfaces me 8th birthday. I'd opened a wrapped box containing a beautiful doll, only to have Brooke begin crying because she wanted one too. Without hesitation, I'd handed it over. "You can have mine," I'd said. The approval in my parents' eyes had been unmistakable. The lesson learned. My worth was measured by what I was willing to give up. How many times had that scene repeated itself throughout my life? Different circumstances, same message. A knock at my door startles me from the memory. Aunt Lainey stands in the hallway, snowflakes melting on her auburn hair. Her green eyes so unlike her sister sprinkle with concern. "I thought you might need reinforcements," she says, pulling me into a hug that smells of cinnamon and winter air. We sit by the window, steaming mugs of tea warming our hands as twilight paints the mountains purple. Lainey listens as words pour from years of accumulated hurts, realizations, and fears. I should have seen it sooner, I confess. The pattern was so obvious. Lainey nods. "I watched your mother do the same thing to me when we were younger. I was always the responsible one, the one who made everything work while Carla got all the attention." "How did you break free?" I ask. Her eyes grow distant. "A Christmas much like this one, 30 years ago. I'd paid for a family trip to Aspen, and your mother accidentally gave me the wrong address for the rental. I spent Christmas Eve driving around looking for them." She smiles sadly. "That was my last Morgan family Christmas for 5 years. 5 years? The thought of such disconnection sends panic through me. The time apart was necessary. When I came back, it was on my terms." She reaches for my hand. "The question isn't whether they'll miss you, Brielle. It's whether you'll allow yourself to be missed without rushing in to fill the void." The truth of her words settles into my bones. I straighten my spine, meeting her gaze. "I deserve better than this," I say, testing the words, feeling their weight. "Yes," Lainey says simply. "You do." A text message chimes from Lainey's phone. She glances at it, then turns the screen toward me. "Logan's here," she says. Minutes later, Brooke's boyfriend appears at my door, snow dusting his dark hair. His expression is a mixture of discomfort and determination. "You should hear this," he says, placing his phone on the small table between us. "Brooke doesn't know I recorded it." He presses play. My sister's voice fills the room. "Mom, seriously, it's fine. Brielle won't even notice she's been cut out. She's so busy taking care of everyone else, she doesn't even realize when no one's taking care of her. It's actually kind of sad." My mother's voice responds with a laugh. "Well, she does make it easy, doesn't she?" The recording ends. Logan looks at me, genuine regret in his eyes. "I'm sorry. They've been planning this for weeks." Oddly, instead of pain, I feel clarity. The final piece of evidence I needed. That evening, unexpected connections begin to appear like stars emerging in a dark sky. A text from my colleague Marta. "Missing you at the office. Hope you're having a wonderful holiday." Another from my neighbor Robert. "Checked your mail and brought in your packages. All good at home." The innkeeper slips a small wrapped package under my door, a handmade ornament with a note. "For your Christmas away, sometimes the best traditions are the new ones." I arrange these small tokens on my nightstand, physical proof that connection exists beyond the bonds that have confined me. By morning, certainty has replaced doubt. I select my outfit with deliberate care: a soft gray sweater, dark jeans, and the pearl earrings that were my grandmother's, professional but comfortable. Armor for the battle ahead. I fasten the silver necklace Dad gave me for my 30th birthday around my neck. Not as a concession, but as a reminder. I am still a Morgan, but on my terms. My laptop holds the digital presentation I've prepared: screenshots, financial records, voice recordings, including Logan's devastating contribution, evidence not meant to punish, but to illuminate. From my wallet, I remove every credit card except one, leaving only cash in its place. The symbolic weight of this small act steadies me. In the mirror, I meet my own gaze one final time. The woman looking back is no longer asking for permission to exist. She already knows her worth. On Christmas Eve, the maitre d' guides me through Aspen Ridge, Breckenridge's most exclusive restaurant. Christmas trees adorned with tiny white lights illuminate the path between tables of holiday diners. Families toast with champagne flutes while carols play softly in the background. A soundtrack for the privileged and connected. For the loved. I spot them before they see me. 17 Morgans crowded around 3 pushed-together tables near the stone fireplace. Mother laughs too loudly at something Benjamin says. Dad swirls his whiskey with that practiced motion he perfected in business dinners. Brooke leans toward her boyfriend, hand on his arm, face animated. My family, whole without me. Their table falls silent as I approach. A ripple of awareness spreads from cousin to aunt to uncle. 17 faces turn toward me with expressions ranging from shock to guilt to something harder to name. Is that defiance in Brooke's eyes? Between my cousin Rachel and my uncle Alan sits an empty chair. Perhaps habit, perhaps hope, perhaps merely the universe's cruel sense of irony. I straighten my spine, adjust the strap of the laptop bag on my shoulder, and move forward with deliberate steps. Brielle, Mother recovers first, voice rising with artificial brightness. She stands, arms outstretched as if we'd planned this reunion all along. We've been so worried about you. Brooke's nervous laughter punctuates the silence. There was such a mix-up with the cars. Her words spill out too quickly. I thought Mom told you to drive up on your own since you're coming from the opposite side of town. 3 blocks. We live 3 blocks apart. Around the table, cousins study their menus with sudden fascination. Aunt Patricia adjusts her napkin. Uncle John clears his throat twice. Dad stands, shoulders squared, mouth set in that familiar line that precedes his taking control of an uncomfortable situation. Well, you're here now. That's what matters. His tone suggests we've reached the end of any discussion about my absence. We ordered appetizers for the table. Sit down, Bree. You look like you're about to give a presentation. The familiar nickname lands like a slap. 17 years of being Bri when they need something, Brielle when they're angry. Only Aunt Lainey calls me by my full name regardless of circumstance. Before we start, I say, my voice steadier than I imagined possible, I have something to show you all. I place my laptop on the table, carefully positioning it where everyone can see the screen. The restaurant hum continues around us, but at our table, the silence thickens. Brielle, honey, is this really necessary? Mother's smile remains fixed, but her eyes dart nervously around the restaurant. We're celebrating Christmas. This will only take a moment. I open my carefully prepared presentation. First slide, a screenshot of the Airbnb confirmation. Second, the credit card statement showing the $14,200 charge. Third, the calendar invitation I sent to everyone with pickup details. What exactly are you doing? Dad's voice drops dangerously low. I continue without answering, clicking to the next slide, screenshots of text messages where my name appears. Then the voice memo. I press play and Brooke's voice fills our corner of the restaurant. Don't worry, she's used to being left out, she won't even notice. The blood drains from Brooke's face. Around the table, expressions shift from embarrassment to horror as they realize what I've compiled. My younger cousins exchange glances. Aunt Patricia's hand covers her mouth. No one speaks. Turn that off, Dad hisses. I do, but only because I've made my point. This is ridiculous, Brooke says, voice trembling. It wasn't just me. Everyone agreed. She looks around wildly. Tell her. You all said it would be easier without her constant, managing everything. Brooke, Mother scolds, then turns to me with tears already forming. Darling, you're making too much of this. There was a misunderstanding about transportation, that's all. Dad leans forward. Let's discuss this privately, not make a scene in a public restaurant. Morgan family business stays private. Ah yes, Morgan family business. the code phrase meant to silence dissent through shame. Cracks appear in their unified front as Uncle John mutters, "I never agreed to exclude her." Cousin Rachel stares accusingly at Brooke. My 19-year-old nephew Tyler looks genuinely confused. "Family loyalty goes both ways," Mother says, tears now falling freely. Her hand reaches for mine across the table. I pull back slightly, just enough to remain untouched. "After everything we've been through together." Dad's voice deepens with authority. "Morgan family values include forgiveness, Brielle. And discretion." His emphasis on the last word makes his meaning clear. A good daughter would not expose family secrets. "After all we've done for you," Brooke adds, voice thick with indignation. Her mascara smudges as she wipes angrily at her eyes. "You've always been so difficult, so judgy about how we live our lives. And now you pull this?" The familiar pressure descends the expectation that I'll fold, apologize, make peace without receiving genuine acknowledgement. The weight of family tradition demands I carry this moment's discomfort rather than force them to face their actions. I look around the table at my family, these people whose financial emergencies I've resolved, whose conflicts I've mediated, whose celebrations I've funded. For the first time, I truly see the transaction that has defined our relationship. And I am done overpaying. I remain standing while my family sits, 17 faces arranged around tables pushed together like mismatched puzzle pieces. The restaurant bustles around us, ambient Christmas music floating through the air. It's the most wonderful time of the year, playing with cruel irony as I clutch my laptop to my chest. A shield, a weapon, evidence. "Well?" Mom breaks the silence first, her voice wavering. "Are you going to sit down and talk to us like adults, or make a scene?" The words hit their mark, the familiar sting of manipulation wrapped in reasonableness. I notice a couple at a nearby table glance our way, then quickly look down at their menus. My family has always been good at this, conducting warfare in whispers. "I think I've earned the right to stand," I say, my voice steadier than I expected. The weight of unspoken resentments fills the space between us like invisible smoke. Dad clears his throat, straightening the silverware by his plate. "Brielle, this has all gotten out of hand. If you just answer your phone once in a while." "I've been answering phones for 17 years, I interrupt, the words slipping out before I can stop them. "Every crisis, every favor, every time one of you needed something fixed." Brooke's mascara is already smudged, her eyes wet. "But it's Christmas," she pleads, as if the holiday itself is a get-out-of-consequences card she can play. "How could you do this to us? To the kids?" I place my laptop on the table, opening it carefully. The screen illuminates with evidence I've gathered over year screenshots, spreadsheets, voice memos. "How could I?" The question hangs there, brittle as icicles. "Let me show you exactly how you've left me no choice." Dad's face hardens as he glances at the screen. "We'll lose the deposit if you don't reinstate the reservation," he says, his voice dropping into the authoritative tone he uses when closing insurance deals. "Over $14,000, Brielle. Is that what you want? To punish the entire family financially?" The restaurant seems to shrink around us. A server approaches, notices the tension, and veers toward another table. "I'll pay you back," Brooke promises, reaching for my hand across the table. I step back. "Everything, I swear. Just call and get the cabin back." Mom dabs at her eyes with a cloth napkin. "We can sort out the money later. What matters is family." "The money," I repeat, tasting the words. "That's what you think this is about?" Benjamin shifts uncomfortably in his seat. "What else would it be about? We know you're good with money, Bree. You always have been." A laugh escapes me short, hollow. "That's the problem. You think you know me, but you only know what I can do for you." I turn the laptop to face them, scrolling through the gallery of evidence. Text messages planning my exclusion. Voice memos joking about my generosity. Financial records showing thousands of dollars of unrepaid loans. "I didn't cancel Christmas," I say, my voice quiet but carrying across the table. "I canceled being erased." My family stares at me, expressions shifting between shock, guilt, and most telling calculation. They're already planning how to navigate this, how to bring me back into the fold without changing anything fundamental. "We've always appreciated you," Mom starts, her voice wobbling. "No," I cut her off. "You've appreciated what I provide. There's a difference." I close the laptop and look at each of them in turn. I'm setting new boundaries. I won't be your ATM, your secretary, or your safety net anymore. I'm worth more than what I can provide for you. Silence falls over the table, heavy and thick. Then, from the far end, a chair scrapes back. Aunt Lainey rises, her silver-streaked hair catching the light. I'd almost forgotten she was here, the family's other outsider, watching from the margins. I've kept quiet for too long, she says, her voice carrying across the table. I've watched you all lean on her for everything, and now you act like she doesn't matter? This ends tonight. Mom's mouth falls open. Lainey, this isn't... It is exactly my business, Lainey interrupts, moving to stand beside me. Her hand rests on my shoulder, warm and steady. You should have never had to prove your worth to your own blood. The touch nearly breaks me. Years of keeping my spine straight while bending to their needs catches up in a rush of emotion I swallow back. Across the table, I watch my cousins exchange glances. Emily, just 19, whispers something to her brother. The ripple of recognition spreads, the younger generation seeing the dynamic for what it is, perhaps for the first time. Dad stands abruptly, throwing his napkin onto his plate. I won't sit here and be lectured in public. His chair tips backward as he strides toward the exit. Mom's careful composure crumbles, her sobs no longer the delicate, attention-seeking kind, but raw and frightened. Brooke's face transforms, the mask of sisterly concern slipping to reveal what looks startlingly like envy. You'll regret this, she hisses, no longer performing for our audience. When you're alone and nobody cares. I already was, I say simply. I turn away, Aunt Lainey's arm linked through mine as we walk toward the exit. Behind us, the family that defined me for 34 years splinters like ice in spring thaw. For the first time since I discovered their betrayal, I feel the strange, sharp pleasure of breathing freely. 6 months can change everything. I stand before the freshly painted storefront, scissors in hand, the red ribbon stretching across the entrance like a finish line. Sunlight catches on the gold lettering emblazoned across the glass. Uninvited, a co-working space for new beginnings. Ready? Aunt Lainey asks, her hand warm on my shoulder. A small crowd has gathered on the sidewalk, not family by blood, but something more precious. People who choose to be here. Absolutely, I say, and cut. The ribbon flutters to the ground as applause erupts. I push open the door, welcoming everyone into the space I've created from the ashes of betrayal. Exposed brick walls surround clusters of ergonomic workstations. Natural light pours through skylights, illuminating communal tables where independent professionals can collaborate rather than compete. This is incredible, Brielle, says Marcus, a graphic designer who signed up as my first member. From canceled Christmas to this? I guide him toward the reception area, where a simple frame hangs behind the desk. Inside, a screenshot of Brooke's accidental text message. She's really not here. OMG. Our plan worked. Below it, in my handwriting, now I am. That's my reminder, I tell him. Some exclusions create new doors. The next hours blur into handshakes and congratulations. I move through the crowd, finally comfortable in my own skin. The woman who once checked her phone obsessively now lets it sit forgotten in her pocket. Dr. Winters, my therapist of 5 months, catches my eye across the room and raises her glass of sparkling cider. Our Tuesday sessions began with tears but evolved into strategies, recognizing patterns, setting boundaries, practicing the powerful word no without following it with explanations or apologies. Last Christmas feels like another lifetime. After leaving the restaurant in Breckenridge, Lainey and I drove back to her cabin and spent the holiday with her 2 dogs and a bottle of good bourbon. We talked until dawn, my first Christmas where giving wasn't mandatory and love wasn't contingent. A throat clearing pulls me back to the present. Benjamin stands awkwardly by the door, my younger brother looking suddenly older than his 28 years. This place is really something, Brie, he says, using my childhood nickname. Mom sends her. Well, she wanted me to give you this. He hands me an envelope. I don't open it. And Brooke? Ben shifts his weight. Still says you overreacted. Dad backs her up. I nod, unsurprised. And you? I'm trying to understand. That's why I'm here. It's more than I expected. Not all bridges rebuild at the same pace. Later, as the crowd thins, I walk through the space that was once just a business plan scrawled in therapy homework. The back room hosts weekly support groups for people healing from exploitative relationships. The podcast booth is where I recorded the video that resonated with thousands online. Not because I sought viral fame, but because people recognized their own stories in mine. The evening sun paints the walls gold as I lock up. Outside, Lainey waits with Logan, who left my sister after witnessing her true nature that night in Breckenridge. "Dinner at my place," Lainey announces. "The others are heading over now." Others means my chosen family, the circle that formed naturally in the vacuum of what I lost. We gather monthly now, sharing meals without keeping score of who brought what or paid for which. I touch the frame by the door one last time before turning off the lights. Snow begins to fall outside, fat flakes swirling in the glow of street lamps. I step through the doorway, not looking back. The woman who was uninvited to Christmas now welcomes others daily. The space I hold isn't just physical, it's permission to value yourself first. And that's a gift worth giving.